Hey guys, my name is Ty Brown, and I did a big search online trying to find somebody who had a video of how to make bottle brush trees. I needed to make a whole bunch, and I couldn't find any. All I could find is pictures. So anyway, I'm gonna go over how I make them real quick. I see a lot of people use a drill, but they end up having to tape in their fiber to make theirs. So I found this. Found a way to do it using a mini lathe. You could also use a drill if you wanted, but you'd need to make two stationary things so you can tighten your wire nice and tight. Anyway, what I did is, if you happen to have a 10-inch mini lathe, I took off the back spindle here, leaving the bolt that holds it on, and come back and made a rear piece just out of 3/4 inch 1x4s. And I made a back piece so I could put a hook on there, and then on the front here I just placed an eye hook in the chuck itself, so it's ready to go. But once you get your lathe set up, your material will be, I just went down and got some 18 gauge galvanized steel wire at the local hardware store. It's pretty soft. It was $5 for the wire, 110 feet. And then I bought 10 foot of the hemp style rope, or it's the Milan, or I can't remember the exact pronunciation of the name of it. But anyway, I bought, it's the 1 inch, and I bought about 10 feet of that, and that'll do a lot of trees. Anyway, you also need some wire cutters and a pair of scissors. Anyway, the way I get started is I take the rope that you have here, and I cut off about 3 to 4 inches, just according to how big you want to make it. So I make the cut. All right. Once I've cut that, let's get down here. I pull it apart. Just start reducing it down into smaller pieces, and I get it all the way down till you get the individual bundles. All right. Then I I got a 7-year-old daughter, and she has a couple Barbie brushes. She let me borrow one. You can probably use any kind of brush you want to. But then I take this, I take this and I start brushing it out. And you won't get the fibers until they're individual fibers. So I take that and I turn it around, and I brush these out. And get them all straight. Now you're going to lose some, but that's okay, because they'll have some knotted pieces in there, and this will have to take them out. And if you see any, you just pull them on out. Anyway, what you need to do, you need to do enough of that. I usually sit around and do enough of it till I got a thing full here, but I'm trying to show y'all real quick how to do this. Anyway, once you get your fibers out, I come back over to the lathe, and I take my wire and I start here on this end, and I just pull out what I need, and I just take it, turn this flat, and I just wrap the end around about 3 times. I pull it until I'm inside this eye hook here. Pull it there. Then you need a big pair of pliers, and I tighten it. I get it nice and tight, and then I go on around 1 time. So I've got it wrapped there. And then I come out here, and I'm coming just a tad longer than the other eye hook. And I cut it. I bring that in, up and under, right beside the other line, and I pull it tight. Alright, once I got it tight, I just wrap it like about 3 or 4 times. Alright, now I have my 2 wires together. Now I've seen a lot of guys take and have to tape the fibers in there. Anyway, what I do is I take and get a handful, get it laid out. These have all been pre-separated. You need to kind of plan out what size tree you want. a lot of guys will taper these, but I just make them all one size and cut them later. But you just spread your wires to get, you can get them all in there as a bundle if you want. Okay, I've got them in there and I'll start spreading them out. And you want them pretty close together because it makes it look a little bit better. Now you just need to go as wide as you feel like you need this. Or as tall as you want your tree. And you try to get them centered. And you can turn these until you have this where to lay in there. Alright, what I'm going to do now is I kind of hold this with one hand, and I've got it to where it's turning towards me. So I'm going to flip the switch, and I let it run until it breaks it off. Okay, once it breaks it, you can see I've got this, it's done pretty well, but I go ahead, and I like a nice tight spindle. Now this one did a little bit better than most. But anyway, I'll take my drill bit, or take my drill, and I will tighten this up. I got it where it's tight, and I'll go ahead and tighten it down to where it's nicely knotted. Alright, now once I've got that, you can see that I have all my supposable tree limbs in there. I come in here and I cut it right down against the top of it. Okay, now you're just leaving that on there. Now you have a nice bushy tree here. Now we're just going to go and take it, and now I just go set over the trash can and I trim it. And I just start cutting. I'll just rotate it, and just like cutting hair, and you can shape it any way you want. You make it fat or you can make it thin. Anyway, you let's see here. Okay, anyway, you can see here how I've started to shape this, and you want to get this top down to a pretty good point like the real one would be. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this finished trimming it up, and then I'm going to take it over and show you how I paint it and put the foliage on it. Anyway, that worked out pretty well. That was pretty quick. Like I said, all you got to do is the shaping is pretty easy. So let me go ahead and get over to the paint shop, and I'll paint it and put the foliage on it. Okay guys, here we are in my paint room. Anyway, I've got the tree kind of shaped like I want it. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I am using a Behr latex paint. Now this is a black. I didn't go buy a brown. Black works fine because you got a nice dark color to hide anything on the inside. But what I do is I pre-mix it. I've got it pretty thin. I got it thinned down a little bit. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to really wet this down. You don't want to get, there's a fine line in there. You don't get too wet or it starts the parts start clinging to each other. You want it wet enough that it'll hold the flocking. Anyway, I've got this. It's set at about 50 psi because it needs to be a little bit stronger to put out the latex paint even thinned a little bit. But I'm going to, now you probably see the lights dim and the air compressor will kick in. But anyway, I'm going to spray this and you get down, bottom and top. You see I'm turning it black. You need to make sure you got good coverage because you can see some of the light brown in it. Alright, I'm going to hang this up. I've got this while it's nice and wet. We're going to move over here to the other table. And now I'm holding it over a box and I am shaking. This is fine flock, this is fine, what is it? Fine ground cover. This is the Bachmann brand. I just happen to have it on hand. But I really douse the tree. And I'm pouring it heavy on there, it doesn't matter. I just really weight it down. It takes very little of this to do one, but I make sure I get plenty of coverage. and then I come back and I tap it and get all of it out that I can that doesn't stick to the paint, because you don't want it all over your scenery. But anyway, that makes a, let's see if I can get it down here where you can see it. That makes a nice evergreen tree. What I do now, you'll see some of the longer, well, let's see if I can get it turned around. See some of the longer pieces. What you do is, I do it while it's wet. I come in here and I just clip off anything that I don't like. Now, there's you almost a perfect tree. You can cut these or make them as tall as you want. The trunks, you can either use tape and spiral down. I got my own little system I'm going to try out here in a little while. But you can also use like a balsa that you've scraped up with a rasp and drill a hole down it first, and then make your trunks out of that. But anyway, I just hadn't seen anybody online do a video on how to do a bottle brush tree, and that worked out really well. The ones I've done lately are getting a lot better than the very first ones. It takes a little practice, but they're very cheap to make. I mean, you can make, for $10 you can make or 15 counting your flocking, you can make 100 trees out of it. So anyway, I hope this helps, and this is the end.